Welcome to the third episode of the Epirus campaign. You may have noticed that there are not many finished Epirus campaigns on YouTube. So far, I have found some unfinished campaigns, just one Epirus campaign finished with victory, and a couple ending in defeat. Let's hope this campaign does not end up the same way. We're going into the red because of our mercenaries, but there's only one way, the way forward into conquering Athens, so we have to increase taxation.
Besieging settlement.
Only some Athenian mob survived the last battle, and they now have to defend Athens. Auto-resolving would be to our advantage, but we will attack on the battle map even though it will cause more casualties, so that we can have a tour of ancient Athens, a unique, once-in-a-lifetime experience. This is the first time in a Rome 2 campaign that a general has a mob for a bodyguard. So this is the map of Athens, clearly not very historically accurate as we see it from above, because Athens was inland and it had a harbor that was by the sea, and the two were connected by a long wall at this period. So it will not be completely accurate, but hopefully we can find some interesting things as we look around. The battle itself is not all that interesting. It's a very easy battle. So here's the harbor of Athens, called the harbor of Piraeus. And the main harbor looks like this. Even in modern Athens, of course, it's much bigger. This is the interior of Athens. What we see in front of us is the Sacred Way and the ancient agora, building of the agora, a stoa in the agora, this building with the two levels of columns. There is a similar building in modern Athens that has survived, partially reconstructed, and it was built a little bit later by donations from a Macedonian emperor called Attalus, and it's in that style as you see here. The modern one, the one that is surviving to our time, is much nicer than this, and so this is presumably a more ancient version of it, before it was rebuilt by Attalus, and on the side of it are some simple houses for simple people, possibly for slaves. And there is no Acropolis, but there is this building which is very interesting. It has a north-south orientation, and unfortunately the sun is shining from the north, and it's illuminating the northern facade. And here is the southern facade. And there is one thing that's very interesting about this building. It looks like Parthenon. And in addition, the pediment that you see here in front of us is the eastern pediment of Parthenon, the main temple of Athens on the Acropolis, dedicated to Athena. And goddess Athena is on the top. But the actual Acropolis is missing from this Athens. So we will have a walk through the city streets in this neighborhood, very simple houses. Here's our general. This is General Demetrius, I believe. The Athenians had two ships, but instead of disembarking in Athens, they are disembarking out on a beach. This is the main Athenian army. It is these two ships carrying slingers, and then there is a depleted unit of plebs inside. So we've got some units here ready to receive the Athenians. We also have some hoplites over here. And the two Athenian ships have beached themselves. That's something of a bag. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still happening. And so now they are throwing some missiles. It seems they have javelins. They are javeliners, not slingers. We have a unit out here. These must have been pikemen that have dropped their pikes and picked up the swords. And they charge the Athenian skirmishers. They attack them in melee. And they have been harassed on the flank by our missile units. And they are already broken. And here's the other Athenian unit. They've disembarked from their ships. They were also javeliners, I assume. And they've drawn out their swords and shields. And they've gone into melee with our hoplites. And this is not a battle they're going to win. But it's a beautiful scene nonetheless. With the white cliffs of Dover in the background. So that was the battle outside of Athens. The two enemy companies, these marines, have been defeated, and now we just have a company of plebs inside. We are putting units already on the walls with our ladders. And some are coming down here to open the gates and take control of this victory point. They are being harassed by enemy javelins. A pigeon banged its head on the wall, I think, there. They're being harassed by the towers shooting arrows at them. They've killed a couple of people. We would have avoided all these casualties by auto-resolving the battle, but I wanted to have a look around Athens.
A nice cheese and some wine. That's what I want. Do you ever stop thinking about your stomach?
So this road that comes out of this gate is the sacred way, and this was the sacred gate, I do believe. It was leading to Eleusis, which had a temple dedicated to Demeter, and it was the site of an important festival and a cult site. The same road was also used for the Pan-Athenian festival, for a procession came down this road into Athens and went to the Acropolis, which would have been in the distance, where there is that temple, but not on a hill. This waymark here, this waymark with a head on top of it, was called a Hermes stele, and there were several of these in Athens at the street corners as waymarks. And here's again on the left the store of the marketplace. And let's have a look around Athens as well. The buildings are very nice. They're reasonably historical in their conception, of course, not accurately placed or anything. So Athenian houses had these perimetric walls around them, and then they formed sort of squares, usually with buildings surrounding an empty space in the center, a kind of quad in the center that was open. And of course there were gardens and sheds, as we see here. There is an animal pen, perhaps a stable here on the left. There's a cart. And various buildings, the perimeter. There's also one in the center, which is a little bit strange. Then there is this fence or wooden wall around the house. And a well that was necessary, of course. Most houses had wells. And this general plan was preserved in Athens until quite recently. There are still a few houses which are like that, on this very ancient plan. And here's something more elaborate. This would have belonged to a richer citizen that has a more confined internal space that outsiders cannot look into, and has this peristyle of columns all around. A much more expensive house. And this is something that looks like the Acropolis, but I think it's not, because in later versions of the map, when there is an Acropolis, it's not placed on this hill. This hill appears to be the hill known as Areus Pagus. And it was a hill where there was the Parliament of Athens. The Parliament of Athens was mostly an empty, open space, but it had a store at one end. And there was also the High Court. But what we see here looks more like a temple rather than the High Court. There was a temple on Acropolis that the Persians burnt and was replaced by the Parthenon, which was smaller than the Parthenon and looked a little bit like that, but it is not that. It doesn't, if you look at it in detail, it is not that temple. So here is another neighborhood of Athens. Here again, those typical houses with the outside wall. Then we see the inner quad, which is used for house uses of all kinds. Then there are houses or living quarters around this open space in the middle. And we see three sets. Areas, houses, perhaps they would have been for one family, but perhaps for several families. And the landscape and the light, the trees, everything is very well done. So here's a view from above. We can have a look at the neighborhood. It's not unrealistic. This is very much like what ancient Athens would have been. So here's another temple. As far as I'm aware, it's not a specific temple that really exists, but it looks a little bit like the temples of this period. It has pillars of the Ionian order, very nice, very realistically made. Wonderful work. If you cannot imagine, I mean, someone had to do this, a modeler. It's a lot of work. And someone had to do all those statues on the top one by one. Here's another house. It has some animal quarters you see in the distance. On the far end, there are stables of some kind. Yeah, of course, there are no horses inside. Here's another one. The plants are also indigenous of the Mediterranean. These flowers. Here's another house with the columns inside of a wealthier citizen. And more houses this way. It's again the house of a wealthy citizen here. And also some houses of simpler folk. This one has a shed that has been damaged. It has also a cart inside, and again a stable on the right. More interesting parts. Here's some rubble from some construction site, paved roads. Another very lovely house, so beautiful, so well made. This is wonderful. And so here's another house with an inner courtyard, with a well, with two carts, and there are stables just underneath us. So it fits well with having those carts. And donkeys, mules, and sometimes horses were used for drawing carts. They were rarely used as cavalry or for riding individual horses, but donkeys and mules especially were quite common in ancient Athens. Here's that beautiful temple again. A nice view of ancient Athens. Beautiful lighting, beautiful streets, beautiful buildings. It's like time travel. And here is the Sacred Way again, with that store in the distance that was part of the marketplace. And our general is passing by with his bodyguard, riding along the Sacred Way towards the Acropolis. Although the hill of the Acropolis is missing, a building similar to the Acropolis, the Parthenon, is present. We've just seen it. And here we have some Theros spears, and they've reached the area near the Acropolis. And the enemy must be around here somewhere, their last unit, those plebs. They are not to be seen yet, but they must be around here somewhere. They cannot be too far away. This looks very much like Greece, very much. There's an olive tree there. It is very appropriate to have an olive tree in the center of Athens, as the olive was sacred to the Athenians, and in the Pan-Athenian Games, the victors were decorated with an olive wreath. So some of our army has already entered Athens. I had seen a version of the map in some Let's Plays that had Acropolis in it, and a much larger area for Athens. So I was hoping that it would look like this, but unfortunately Athens is very small in this game when we start. Perhaps it will get bigger later on, but it is very small at present, and the hill of the Acropolis is completely missing. What it would be, where the hill of the Acropolis would be, I think, is where that temple is in the distance. So here is our army. These are those Theros pairs that have entered. They're marching. And there's the enemy army, those plebs. And they have attacked our Theros pairs. They're engaged in melee. And this is not a battle they can win. And so the plebs have woken up, they've seen our men, they charged them. I hadn't noticed at the moment, so they charged them while I was not paying attention. So we lost 85 men. Nearly all were slain by arrow shot from the towers. Athens has fallen. I wish it was possible to make the Athenians a client state, which would have been more honorable, but there is no such option in Rome too. The options are to occupy, loot, or raze. As this is a Hellenic settlement, there is no point in razing it, and looting would inflict public order penalties, whereas occupying and releasing the captives is more in the spirit of our campaign and may pacify our opponents in Athens and the rest of Hellas, so we will go for occupation, releasing the captives. Our armies have gained in experience. The ravaging chimeras now have accomplished skirmishers, are very capable Theros spear mercenaries. By taking Athens, we can now make contact with the Greek and Hellenistic states on the coast of Asia, for example Bithynia. Who accept a trade agreement and a non-aggression pact. That is wonderful, that is a lot of progress. They are not interested yet in a defensive alliance. Our military campaign aims lie to the west, so we have an interest in being in good terms with the states in Asia, especially those bordering us. The Macedonians are not interested in trade. We cannot trade with Pergamon, but they accept an offer of a non-aggression pact, which is also good. We seem to be winning over the Hellenistic states, so our non-violent occupation of Athens seems to be paying off already. Asardes are not interested in trade or in anything else, and seem to be in very bad terms with Pergamon. Syracuse is not interested in a defensive alliance. Our king and Admiral Davos heads east in search of new trade partners. We are about to end the turn, except that Aeneas' destroyers, the army of General Eusebius, has also gained in command rank and have a non-assigned tradition. They are also now accomplished skirmishers, even though they have no skirmish units. I did all that very quickly. As we end the turn, a sneaky Athenian fleet attacks our Admiral Davos as he was sailing north of Crete. Our masters of Mesogios, just a single ship, are no match for Poseidon's chosen, the Athenian fleet, so Admiral Davos sails off in full speed. Fortunately, the Athenian ships leave him alone. The Cretans do not like the sight of our ship off their shores and immediately declare war on us, hoping it will be a short war, although they yearn to watch us suffer for as long as possible. The very eventful year of 270 BC is over. Telesphorus, our general in Larissa, is far from temples and begins to have doubts about the underworld. The Greeks believed that after death, souls would linger forever in the darkness of Hades. What would be the consequence of Telesphorus infecting the townsfolk of Larissa with his disbelief in the accepted belief that there is no life after death? An Athenian agent, Cannae, has been discovered outside Athens. She probably tried out some trick on us, but she failed. Public order is decreasing in Athens, but this is just the first year after its conquest, so the situation should improve. Time for some diplomacy next. The Illyrians are still not interested in trade or in a non-aggression pact. The Macedonians also declined a trade treaty. Next is Pergamon. They seem to open up to the possibility of a defensive alliance, but sadly, they decline our offer this time around. Sardes was the capital of Lydia, and they are still not interested in trade. If I'm not mistaken, Pergamon acquired Lydia in actual history, and subsequently it was transferred to the Roman Empire peacefully to avoid war with Rome. This is the kind of thing that is difficult to do in Rome too. You can make another state a vassal, but you cannot donate a state peacefully unless another state requests to make your entire kingdom a vassal, and then you can submit your entire kingdom, but not just a province or a city. You cannot gift away just a single region. Syracuse is also not interested in an alliance. Diplomacy can be slow at times on very hard difficulty. It is time for our spy Electra to get active again. The next step in our campaign is a mission for our secret agent. She absolutely has to wreck the baggage of one of the Spartan armies. If she fails and the two Spartan armies attack together, we are finished. we do not have a strong enough army in Athens to defend Athens against both Spartan armies. One possibility is to try to ambush the Spartans, but it does not look as if there is good ambush terrain near Athens. There is a 55% spot, but it is a bit out of the way. The spots towards Sparta have a 25% chance of ambush, which is not that good. This is a risky move, but to entice the Spartans to attack, we moved the main army to one of these locations with 25% ambush chance. I believe, no, it was a location with 55% chance, but a bit out of the way. And placed the weaker army under Eusebius in Athens. The two Spartan armies are called Athena's Faithful and the Demons of Polemos, and are both reasonably strong. The Demons of Polemos seem the best army, and Electra's mission is to wreck their baggage train. A positive outcome has a near 50% chance of stopping them from moving.
I do enjoy a little sabotage.
Enjoyment in mischief is a good trait for a secret agent. Electra has been successful. Success is all she wants and is what she gets, and it has helped. She has damaged their supply, so hopefully they will not be able to attack Athens in the next game turn. If the other army attacks alone, they are cooked. Electra gains in rank. A spying trait will do for now. It can also help in protecting our armies from enemy agents. We will disband one of Arthurio's peer companies as they are depleted and their upkeep costs too much. I am tempted also to disband the mercenary citizen cavalry to save money. This may be a mistake, but mercenaries cost too much in upkeep, and they're certainly not worth it if they've suffered casualties. But cavalry could help, perhaps not so much in a siege. So, perhaps a mistake.
At your command.
We have enough money now to recruit one unit, a militia hoplite or Illyrian levies. What will it be? Maybe the Illyrian levies?
Soldiering. It's a good life. We hunger for battle.
So here's our General Telesphorus and Larissa. He doesn't need an army quite yet. He's safe there. The Macedonians seem to be on our side.
It is an honor to serve.
Our King Davos sails to Rhodes. Let's see if the Rhodians are interested in a treaty. They do not seem interested in trade, unfortunately. They do agree on a non-aggression pact. Let's see if they are now interested in trade. Now the chances of trade agreement are high, and Rhodes agrees to trade. And that is the end of the year 269. The Athenian ships sail off in search of a new homeland. One of the Spartan armies marches over and lays siege on Athens. Perhaps they did not see the army of Demetrius laying in ambush. Sparta must have been allies with Macedonia, and the Macedonians break their alliance with the Spartans after they attacked us. So that's lucky. Athens is under siege. Bithynia are now allies with Pergamon. Cannae has sabotaged Larissa. Research on logistics has been completed. We can also start a civilian technology. Land management.
My skills.
So here is Athens under siege. Eusebius lies in ambush. Electra tries out a coercion mission to stop the Athenian agent Cannae from causing more trouble. Unfortunately, this time Electra fails and is wounded. We will wait until the next episode for the Siege of Athens. Thank you for watching.